When we pray, your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven, we need to understand that the answer to that prayer is very much involved and somewhat complicated. Hi, this is Barry Phelps with 10 Minute Torah, day 1 of the Torah portion, Bo. Let's go to Exodus, or Shemot, chapter 10, and verse 1 says, Yahweh said to Moshe, Go into Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart and the hearts of his servants, so that I show these signs of mine before him, and that you relate in the hearing of your son and your son's son what I have done in Mitzrayim, and my signs which I have done among them, you shall know that I am Yahweh. We understand from the writings of Psalm 75 and verse 7 that it is Elohim that raises up one and takes down another. We also understand that it is Yah who raises up sovereigns and casts sovereigns down. That's Daniel chapter 2, verse 21. Romans chapter 13 says that there are no authorities that exist, ruling, governing authorities, except that Yah has allowed them or instituted them. Doesn't mean that every ruler is righteous, by no means. But Yah strategically uses governmental authorities, that is on the national level, state or province level, even on the local levels in your municipalities. He utilizes these to bring about his kingdom and his will, and leaves us scratching our heads at times. How is this possible? And exactly what's going on here? Let's understand and remember then that Israel has lived for generations now at the time of our reading under cruel bondage. They have suffered much, some even worked or beaten to death in their labors. And they are seen not as having a life that belongs to themselves, but rather they are a mere commodity, a tool in the hand of Pharaoh. In some places, you might have a benevolent dictatorship. That's rare, but a benevolent monarchy, perhaps, where the people are favored and blessed because the one single individual at the top of the chain cares about them and wants to benefit them to remain in power. Most often, however, power goes to a man or a woman's mind, into their heart. They become puffed up and arrogant, ruthless in their endeavors. Nobody wants to live under an absolute tyrant, consumed with power and with control. This absolute tyrant is Pharaoh. He believes himself, even though he is a mere human being, he believes himself to be a god. Not the God, a god. He says that he is the offspring of the sun. That's interesting. He is filled with the spirit that rises up out of the Nile. He doesn't believe that there's any man on earth that is his equal, and that even gods, these unseen powers that he thinks exist, they must see him as one who is equal to them and on their level. He's only limited by human body, but inwardly he's much more powerful. So Yah says to Moshe, Go. The word go is translated from the Hebrew word bo, B-O. It depends on the context of the usage as to whether it means come to me, or go to there. Either way could be correct technically here. Yah could be as seen outside the palace walls, figuratively speaking, saying to Moshe, go in there and take a look. What I find a more interesting aspect or context would be that Yah is inside the palace, in the very throne room of Pharaoh, and he is saying to Moshe, come in here. I want to show you something. So kind of like the story of Wizard of Oz, where the cast goes behind the curtain and they see the little man pushing the buttons and pulling the levers, and making all of the dramatic sequences of events. It's just a man behind the curtain. Yah is showing that Pharaoh is being ruled by what's behind the curtain. Pharaoh doesn't understand that these demonic powers that he thinks he is controlling and orchestrating, that they're actually controlling and orchestrating him. So we have to look then at the governmental leaderships of a variety of applications and levels and ask the question, are they leading as an instrument of righteousness by the hand of Yah, or are they being controlled by powers of darkness that they may or may not be aware of? Pharaoh thought himself to be very, very much in charge. That is until this sunburned, wind-burned, grizzled shepherd, smelling perhaps like a pack of sheep, walks into his throne room, looks at him and points the finger and says, Yahweh Elohim, the mighty one of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, the Elohim of Israel says to you, let my people go. At that point, Pharaoh had to laugh to himself. Who let this clown in here? He could at a moment set off with his head. Maybe he was intrigued. Maybe he was puzzled. Maybe he was confounded. Maybe he was even, taken aback by this. But suddenly, the powers behind him, the demons that are pushing the buttons and pulling the levers, are terrified because they recognize the name Yod He Vav He, and they realize one who is more than our match has just walked into this room. So Moshe hears this command of Yah to go and enter into the realm of Pharaoh. And he's about to reveal exactly who he is. Excuse me, from Moshe's vantage point, maybe he's a little frustrated. 7 plagues have come, excuse me, and gone, and nothing much has changed. A little, but where is the deliverance? Yah says, I'm not going to stop until I've shown all of my signs and wonders. You're going to tell your sons and your sons' sons this story, and they're going to understand who I really am. Moshe also needs to understand who Pharaoh really is. In Ezekiel chapter 29, beginning with verse number 2, Son of man, set your face against Pharaoh, the sovereign of Mitzrayim, and prophesy against him and against Mitzrayim, all of it. Speak, and you shall say, Thus says the Master Yahweh, See, I am against you, O Pharaoh, sovereign of Mitzrayim. And he's addressing more than the man on the throne. Here it says, O great monster who lies in the midst of his rivers, who has said, My river is my own, and I myself have made it. I shall put hooks in your jaws, and I shall make the fish of your rivers cling to your scales, and I shall bring you out of the midst of your rivers, and all the fish in your rivers shall cling to your scales. Excuse me. So there is a spiritual monster creature, if you will, that is the actual embodiment of this spirit, and all of the little entities that are ruled and utilized by it. Yah said, I'm going to cause them to cling to you, and I'm going to put a hook in your jaw and bring you out. And I shall leave you in the wilderness, you and all the fish of your rivers. On the face of the field you shall fall, and you shall not be picked up or gathered. I shall give you as food to the beasts of the field and to the birds of the air. And all the inhabitants of Mitzrayim shall know that I am Yahweh, because they have been a staff of reed to the house of Israel. You may stand against Israel. You may speak against Israel. You may be against the people of the house of Yehudah. You may arrogantly use your mouth and spout anti-Semitism and rants and raves. But know this, you're no different than that monster in the river. Yah's going to put a hook in your jaw and lay you bare on the field. You do not want to side with Pharaoh. because Yah is about to show all of his signs and wonders. Choose the right side. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Till then, shalom.